Hi and welcome to the Malat cookery channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make an absolutely fantastic homemade naan bread, but also I'm going to show you a cooking technique which replicates the bread being cooked in a traditional tandoor oven. As usual, full list of ingredients are given at the end of the video, so let's crack on and have a look at the ingredients that we're going to need. Right, so in order to make the actual naan bread we need 400 grams of bread flour or strong plain flour, 300 milliliters of fluid. Now this is just a guide. You may need more, you may need less. It depends on the humidity, the type of flour that you're using. So here we've got 150 milliliters of cold milk and 150 milliliters of warm water from the kettle to create a tepid or a warm solution. On the plate we have 1 measured teaspoon of salt, 1 measured teaspoon of sugar. We're going to need a 7 gram sachet of easy bake yeast. We're also going to need 3 measured tablespoons of olive oil. And together with all of that, we're also going to need a little bit of extra plain flour in order to knead the dough on the work surface. Right, first thing we need to do is to mix all of the dry ingredients together. So into the flour goes the salt and sugar. And we just mix that in. Then we put in the 7 gram sachet of easy bake yeast, and again mix that in. So once all of the dry ingredients are mixed together, the next thing we need to do is to put the olive oil in. So it's 3 measured tablespoons of olive oil. And just make sure we get all of that olive oil off there. So what we want to do now is just to work in that olive oil, work the flour through your fingers, and then we're going to create a very fine, almost like a breadcrumb texture. Okay, so all of that olive oil is now mixed in well. So next thing we want to do is to add the fluid. What you'll notice is I'm only using one hand to mix, and the reason for that is I've been told off so many times for having flour marks or dough marks on handles of fridges and kettles and everything. Also, you don't know if the phone's going to go or somebody's going to knock at the door, so try and keep one hand free because this does get extremely messy. So I'm just going to add a little bit of fluid at a time, and then we're mixing it in after each pour. Make sure you get all of the flour and the dough off the sides and mix it in well. Again, I'm just pushing this through my fingers in order to mix it in. So just be careful now with how much you add. Hydration with regard to bread making is absolutely crucial. When I mean hydration, I just mean the amount of liquid that is in the dough. So I make on average at home between 2 and 3 loaves of bread a week, and have done for years, and you learn very quickly when you start to get success with bread making that hydration is absolutely crucial to producing very good bread. Obviously it's not the only thing, but it is definitely one of the most important as far as I'm concerned. So that's about right now. So I've still got a little bit of fluid left over, maybe now 20-30 mil. So as I said, that 300 mil is just a guide. So when we talk about hydration, and this is more important really with bread making, is we want the dough to be a little bit uncomfortable to actually work with. So if we get a dough that's really nice and got a nice finish to the skin, and we can pick it up and it won't even attempt to stick to our fingers, then for me that's a little bit too dry as an actual bread dough. So the way I like to do it is that we get a dough which is, as this is, it just starts sticking to you, a little bit uncomfortable to work with, but for me that's got great hydration. And my experience over the years is that you get that right, you know, there's not much that can really go wrong if most of the other points are correct. So once we've got our dough, the next thing we want to do is just add a little bit of flour to a very clean work surface. Obviously make sure your work surface is clean. And then we're going to take the dough out of the bowl. Now don't worry about all this on your fingers, that will definitely come off, especially with the addition of this other flour. So all I want to do now is I just want to work the dough in order to get it to a nice pliable consistency. Okay, and as you work you can start to pick off the dough that's on your fingers and fold that in. So like I say, don't panic, that'll definitely come off. And I'll just show you the technique in a minute for actually kneading the dough. Just make sure I get all of this flour, this dough off my fingers. Okay, so the technique, what we're looking to do when we knead the dough is we're looking to tear and stretch the dough in order to stretch those fibers, and then turn it over and then try another piece of dough. So as I'm doing this and as the dough's working round, I'm actually stretching and tearing every piece of dough that's within this ball. So I'm pushing, and as you can see there how it's tore the dough underneath, folding that over, another piece, over, another piece. Let me just do this. For a loaf of bread I would normally do this for 10 minutes, but for naan bread it's not really that crucial, so maybe 3 or 4 minutes, 5 at the most. Again, just to show you again, so we're pushing and tearing, so we've tore all those fibres, we're folding it over, another one, another one. Okay, so that's about 5 minutes. Really nice dough now. We've got a lot of elasticity in there. The next thing we want to do is we want to let this rest now for about half an hour to an hour in a warm place in order to rise, and it needs to double in size. So we take the bowl that we've mixed the dough in. We add a little bit of olive oil into the bottom, just a little bit. Work that around. So this just prevents the dough from sticking. We get our dough, shape it, place it into the center, and then just put over some cling film over the top. So that's now going to go in a warm place. Leave it to rise, let it double in size. Right, so this is the naan bread dough. It's been rising for about 40 minutes, so it's more than doubled in size. The reason that we cover it with cling film is so that the dough doesn't get a skin on the top. So the first thing we need to do is take it from the bowl, and then we just need to knock it back slightly. So just to take some of that air out, and then I'm just going to weigh it. Okay, so we're going to get about 5 naan breads from this. So what I need to do now is just to measure these equally. So we're looking at about 135 grams for each. So we're looking at about 133 to 135 grams each. So we take one of the pieces, we just flour a clean work surface a little bit, take a rolling pin, just to make sure that that's floured as well, and then we just, the process of just rolling out the naan breads. So from about 130, 135 grams of dough, we're going to get a naan bread about the size of a dinner plate. So from there we just put that to one side, and then we just carry on and shape all of the pieces that we've done. And as we make the naan breads, place them onto a plate. Just put a little bit of flour to stop them sticking, and the other one goes on top, and we just keep layering those up until we've done all of them. Okay, so that's the last one. The next thing we need to do is show you guys actually how to cook them to replicate what you would see from a tandoor oven. So the two things that we need in order to try and replicate the dough being cooked in a tandoor oven, one is a large heavy based frying pan, which is dry, no oil in it, and brought to a high temperature. And the other one is a hot grill on the highest setting. So the pan's now up to a high heat. We take the first naan bread dough and place it into the bottom of the pan. And then what I'm looking for is I'm looking for dimples to start appearing on the top of the dough. So you can see those dimples now forming on the top of the dough. So once they're done, just want to make sure that it's browning slightly underneath. And then from here, it's going to go directly under the hot grill. Go straight from the hob, straight under the hot grill. It'll start to rise, and we're just looking for it to brown on the top. From the grill, we then take the naan bread out and place it onto a piece of foil. And then I'm just going to spray it with some cold water, and then we place the next done naan bread on top, and we keep doing that, and then another piece of foil over the top to create an envelope. That'll keep the naan breads nice and soft, and we can also put that envelope in the oven at 50 degrees centigrade, preheated oven, just to keep warm until we're ready to serve. Again, from the grill, we take the naan bread out, place it on top of the other one. A little bit of water on top, and that will help. Once we create an envelope with the other piece of foil on top, that will help to keep it nice and soft. And then we're on to the next one. So as you can see with the naan bread dough, it actually blows up into almost like a balloon. But once we spray some cold water on, then it will start to sink down and flatten. Okay, so that's the last naan bread done. Just want to show you this. So this is, don't forget, we've not been anywhere near a tandoor oven. So that's the top side, that's the underneath. What we're going to do now is place another piece of foil on top, fold up the sides, and create a nice tight envelope. So that water that was sprayed on and the heat from the actual naan breads themselves will carry on steaming and soften up that dough quite nicely. So these can be made an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in advance, placed into this envelope, and then if you're having a barbecue, just before you're about to serve, place these envelopes in the oven, 50 degrees centigrade, preheated oven, for them to warm through, and then you've got homemade naan breads ready to serve with your tandoori chicken or doner kebab meat or whatever you want to serve them with. So that's it. homemade naan bread that look as good as they taste. You can make these in advance if you're having a barbecue, 2 to 3 hours in advance. Place them into these foil parcels, and then just before you're about to serve, put them in a preheated oven, 50 degrees centigrade, let them warm through. The steam will come back up from the naan breads, will be nice and warm and absolutely perfect. As usual, please subscribe to the channel, and if you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Thanks for watching.